Hi, my name is Kirsty Moores and I head up the not-for-profit team at Pythagoras. So we're a Microsoft Gold partner specialising in delivering Dynamics 365, the Power Platform and Office 365 solutions to the not-for-profit and membership sectors. Over the last few months, the charity sector has faced huge challenges in terms of ensuring that their services could still be delivered in the face of remote working, dealing with the lockdown and the shortages of resources generally across the sector. We're delighted to be joined today by Karen O'Connor from Age UK. Like many other organisations, Age UK has experienced a marked increase in the number of people requiring their services. Karen's going to be sharing the impact that this has had on the staff at Age UK and the digital tools that have enabled them to continue delivering their essential services throughout the pandemic. She's also going to be sharing insight into the lessons that they've learned and the digital plans for adapting to a new normal. After our conversation, we'll be joined by Charlie Maitland, who's going to be picking up on some of the tools that Karen and I discuss. In the spirit of doing things of more for less, Charlie's going to give an overview of some of the free tools that are available as part of your Office 365 subscription. But most importantly, he's also going to talk about Microsoft's free not-for-profit accelerator from Dynamics. It's so cool. It enables you to do so much more so quickly. It covers everything from fundraising, grant management, volunteer management, being able to report on the programs and benefits of that. So it's definitely a session worth seeing. Today I'm joined by the lovely Karen O'Connor from Age UK, who's going to talk to us about how Age UK have managed through this pandemic and how technology has supported them in this process.
Hi, I'm Karen O'Connor from Age UK, and I'm a senior project manager normally running CRM projects. But during the pandemic, it was a case of all hands on deck. So we had to expand our remit and do whatever needed to be done on the moment.
Yeah, because you guys really had an increase in demand in services during coronavirus, and having been able to manage that. Obviously, you were all based in offices before this. You had the contact centre, the offices in London. So suddenly to go remote must have been very interesting times for you.
It was very interesting times for sure. I mean, overnight we had to move all of our staff from all of our offices around the country into working remotely.
Yeah.
And we were actually very fortuitously at the beginning of a planned laptop rollout project.
Yes.
So we actually did have kit in stock. So we had laptops in our basement that we were able to roll out, but it was literally a case of all hands on deck to work on laptop rollout and getting people set up to working from home, because we had less than 2 weeks to get people all set up before they went out. And most critically, the people who are providing the actual services, because all of the services that we provide for older people were obviously under massive demand, and our helpline, the number of calls shot up. So we were dealing with a massive increase in volume of calls, along with our helpline working in a less than ideal situation. They went from being in the office with their beautiful kit set up with their big screens and everything, to working from home on laptops on their home Wi-Fi. But thankfully we managed to pull it off, and we managed to do it. So they've been amazing.
There was quite a high impact then from the coronavirus on the operations that you have at Age UK, wasn't there? Going into that different model and working in a very, very different way, and not necessarily having the tools to hand that the team used to and sort of expect.
Absolutely. And we had also done a Teams rollout at the end of last year.
Yes.
But we didn't have massive adoption. And so our adoption was kind of like this. Obviously, in technology, we're early adopters on all of this stuff. So the technology team were very much advocates for the use of the technology, and we were trying to get our business users more engaged already in using that. But, as with probably most other organizations, the adoption went like practically in a vertical curve like this, because, we had no choice but to get on and use the tools that were available to us. But the beauty of that is that, it's all online and remote, and it's easy to ramp up and provide that service.
Yeah, most definitely. So there's obviously lots of tools and technologies there that you use to underpin the response. So obviously you're a user of Dynamics 365 and the contact centers accessing through that to manage all those cases and calls coming in. But Teams has really, really sort of helped the way that you work remotely and collaborate, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we very much use Teams for our internal operations.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Dynamics underpins all the data we store about all of our services, and it's an essential tool for the call center in terms of being able to have all of the services available at their fingertips to help people when they call up and they want information about, what their local HK is or what services are available, or they want to order information to be sent out to them, or resources of different types. And obviously, as well as that, everything was changing like every week, and the information was changing and the advice was changing. So our internal teams were having to adapt and change all of the literature and the messaging and everything.
I can imagine it. Yeah, it was changing very regularly, wasn't it?
So, you have to have one central place where all that information is stored. When you have one central repository, such as our CRM system, then you have one single source of truth.
You definitely do. So it sounded like you had to do a lot of adapting really to work in the new way. What were some of the things you did? I understand, obviously, gratuitously, that you'd rolled out Teams and you had new laptops going out, which is great. That must have really helped in the online world, not being able to... You couldn't
get laptops in the middle of all of this pandemic business,
But what other things did you do to adapt? So how did you sort of support the staff and users in moving and transitioning in a different way? How did you encourage them with that user adoption? I mean, I understand some of it was by force. You have to use this to do your job. But how did you support them on that journey?
We literally had daily stand-ups, what we would have in the office in technology. So we used those tools that we already used for running projects within our own team, in a wider sense. So we had basically daily digital stand-ups with our customers and our business teams. So I was working very closely with our call centre in Devon. And so we had daily calls with them saying, what's your problem today? This is what we're doing. And just basically trying to keep everybody moving forward as much as we possibly can. I mean, it's very hard. You can't roll out 800 laptops in 2 days. So you have to try to figure out who's the priority person. Like, okay, we need to get the actual frontline people who are handling calls. They need to be up and running first, and trying to prioritize the need. And then, as well as that, we had to close all of our shops. So our income took a nosedive. So you're trying to do more with less.
Yes.
So you can't just, we're a charity at the end of the day, and our income was cut off. A massive income source was cut off overnight. And when you have no future built, you can't just throw money at the problem. So you kind of have to make do and mend a bit and use the resources you have to the best of your ability.
You did, and you did a very good job of that. So well done. Coming back then to sort of how it went. So a couple of different questions here for you, really. So I suppose one part of it is there anything you maybe would have done differently? Although it sounds like you did a very, very good job of it, to be honest. And then the second part of the question really is what you've learned during sort of the pandemic and the way you're working now. How much of that do you think you'll take into the new normal? Do you think you'll continue in this way, or are you looking to get people back, that kind of thing? So was there anything that you potentially would do differently if you had to go through this again?
I think it would be nice to have had a bit more time to plan stuff, to do it a bit more efficiently, if you can, rather than having to go, oh my God, and then make a plan immediately. But, it is what it is. But I think definitely we have, there are some good things that have come out of it in terms of our adoption across the organization of the technologies that are available to us. So being able to use all of those resources remotely, we are still doing some work because we're not fully location agnostic, if you like. So we can, some things are still site specific. We are in a transition period already with our Microsoft Dynamics CRM. But the motivation to move from an on-premise solution to fully online rather than our kind of hybrid solution that we have at the moment has been shown to be even more important, because then, once you're fully online, everything is much more accessible, and you don't have to then put in place mitigations to allow people to access things like that. And in doing that, having partners who have a wide range of skills to help you, technology partners has been really useful during all of this, because as a relatively small charity, we can't have all of the skill sets in-house to know all of the different aspects of running something like Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So having you guys on board to help with specific skill sets for somebody who has a specific skill set, one little piece. And our portal project, which is being rolled out over the coming months, again, I think will prove to be, should we find ourselves in this situation or in this kind of transition back to the new normal, whatever that is going to be, our new portal, which is built on Dynamics as well, will, I think, be a very useful hub for us to support our local partners and our network of services that are being provided across the country. So we're really excited for that, and I think the demand and the need for it will be more obvious. Even like we had already planned to do it, but I think the need for it has become more urgent, if you like.
Yes, the world has changed a lot, hasn't it, Karen? So having more accessibility through a portal will be great for your brand partners and the different agencies that you work with to, at the end of the day, deliver the services. So what sort of advice would you potentially give to organisations that, have gone through this, but unfortunately they've got, older systems, they're struggling, it's been hard for them to get online. Where would you start?
I think, what I would say is don't wait until a pandemic hits to then try to plan to go online. I think we were lucky that we were in a situation where we had already started thinking about this and planning for what we thought was going to be a longer term future of being a bit more mobile and agile, and adaptable. So I definitely would say think about that. Obviously, in this new world where we don't know if something like this is going to happen again, it makes sense to use online resources as much as you can. And being a small organization, and I've worked with a number of other smaller charities over the years as well, you can't have all of the skill sets. So finding a valuable technology partner who can help you through the thinking and the planning and the bigger picture technology and fill in the gaps where you can't necessarily have all of the skill sets yourself.
No, that'd be a lot of resources, wouldn't it?
It would be a lot of resources for, when you only need one skill set for one small piece of work. So judicious use of good technology partners such as yourselves, I think would be one of the things I would say is a good thing to have.
No, that's great, Karen. I really appreciate that. And then you've mentioned portals, Dynamics, and Teams. So what do you think would have been what do you think is your must-haves in terms of technology over the last few months to sort of get through the pandemic?
Probably the two things that have underpinned our ability to continue to provide our services is our CRM system to enable us to disseminate the information both internally and provide us with the information that we need operationally to make some difficult decisions quite often, and then also for us to be able to provide that information that we need to our customers. And then Teams has been really the linchpin of our operational effort internally. It's become the new, instead of walking from meeting to meeting with your laptop under your elbow, it's just moving from call to call like this one, but it started being very bizarre, and now it's all of our new normal, and we're much more comfortable with it than we were probably in the beginning.
It is. It's become the way, isn't it? You see everyone on Teams now, don't you? I don't see anyone in person anymore.
No, and it's the same. When we have our regular meetings with the Pythagoras guys, it's all remote, and it doesn't really matter if they're in Dumbarton or in Devon. Everyone is just getting on with it. So it's been great.
Thank you very much for joining us, Karen. We're now going to head over to Charlie, who'll be taking us through some of these tools that Karen mentioned and showing you how you can start to leverage these without upfront investment in licensing.
Thank you, Kirsty. As you've heard from Age UK, there are a wide range of tools that are available to you from Microsoft. It's our experience that often people are unaware of what tools are available and included in your Office 365 subscription. So we just wanted to draw your attention to a few that are providing real value for our charity customers. As you heard Kirsty mention at the start of this video, Powerapps are a great way to start making a difference to the efficiency and processing of your organization and teams. Powerapps is a low-code solution that allows you to quickly and easily create apps for your staff to use on their phones or on their laptops. An example of one we did recently was with a charity called Dogs for Good. Dogs for Good have a small fleet of vans that they use to transport their therapy dogs. We built them an app to allow staff to book the vans without having to return to their headquarters each time. Another example of a Power App is Open Doors International. They use it to gather field donation information directly into their CRM system, which cuts down what was often a 20-day processing cycle for a paper record into an instantaneous capture of information into Dynamics. Power Automate is a way to build workflows using a point-and-click interface, and this can also connect to over 300 other systems. So, if in your organizational processes you have instances where people are rekeying data, then there may be an opportunity to automate this. An example is when you have a new donor sign up and this information has to be entered into multiple different spreadsheets. You could look at automating those processes. So if you want to explore Powerapps or Power Automate, you can book a complimentary appointment with one of our consultants, and we can discuss with you ways we can bring your ideas to life. And you can find details of this in our resources and content hub. Next, I'm just going to touch on some tools that are in your Microsoft Office 365 instance that some people are not aware of. Microsoft Shifts is a tool that works inside of Teams. People don't often realize that apps can be installed inside Teams to make that product even more useful. Shifts allows you to create shift patterns, assign staff to the shifts, and your staff can see their shifts inside Teams and ask to swap or change and request holidays. All of this in the tool that you're already using in Teams. Forms is a great tool for getting feedback, running training quizzes, or any time you want to make capturing information easier and more streamlined. You can use forms to collect Net Promoter Score from your supporters, or ask them about the services that they're delivering. Planner is a great way to list out tasks that need to be done. You can easily group tasks together, set deadlines, assign people to tasks, and as the work gets done, it's displayed in an easy-to-view set of boards so that everyone can see how the overall progress is going and what needs to be done next. The final one that many people don't realize that they have is the Office 365 Compliance Center. The Compliance Center is a suite of tools that allows you to set rules on what data is stored, where it is stored, who can access it, and what they can do with it when they've got access to it. Documents, spreadsheets, emails, anything in Office can be classified either manually or automatically, and you can then set up rules on how that document is treated. An example would be to set up a rule that states that any spreadsheet that contains data that matches the pattern, for example, of an NHS health number, cannot be attached to an email that is sent outside of your organization, and that content cannot be copied and pasted into another application. So the wide-ranging tools that are available in the Compliance Center is a really great way to ensure that you can avoid all of those potentially embarrassing data leaks. So there is a wide suite of tools, and I'd urge you all to go and look inside your Office 365 tenancy and see what is available to you to make the way organizations work faster and smoother. Finally, Kirsty mentioned in her introduction that Microsoft have a Power Platform not-for-profit accelerator. The not-for-profit accelerator is a free, open source set of tools for Power Apps that can provide you with a great starting point for common charity data processes. It includes capabilities for fundraising, grant management, volunteer management, and much more. So if you're interested in learning more about this accelerator, or how you can make better use of the Office 365 tools that you have, then please head over to our Content Hub, where we have downloads, hints and tips videos, and other collateral, and Kirsty and her team, including myself, will be available to help with your inquiries. So, with that, I'll hand back to Kirsty.
Thanks, Charlie, and thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you found the session really useful and have heard some really good hints and tips to take back to your organisations. This is all about how you can use those digital tools that you already have in place to support your service delivery. If you're keen to hear about any more of the following, so how Pythagoras can support you do more for less, Dynamics 365 work with AGK, or if you'd like to access any of the resources mentioned by Charlie, then please do come and visit our virtual hub. We'd love to hear from you. Have an awesome day. Thank you.